The downtown skyline of the city of brotherly love. We're not far from Philadelphia City Hall, about 8 miles down the road, inside the Wells Fargo Center where Penn meets Kentucky on the hardwood. This is the Malone's Classic. And inside the home of the Philadelphia 76ers, meeting of a couple of programs that have, what, more than 200 collective years of history between them. Glad that you are with us on this early Saturday afternoon. That's the national championship winning head coach, Carolyn Peck, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. So, two high-scoring teams in this unique matchup. What is the major area of focus today, then?
I think it's what makes basketball beautiful. It's the three-point shooting, and Kentucky and Penn are number 5 and number 6 in three-point percentage, so I expect to see a lot of those going up today. Yeah,
two high-scoring teams. They both score more than 80 a game this year. It's a bit of a homecoming of sorts for many of these Wildcats. They're the Philadelphia Cats today. So look at the long list of New Jersey or Pennsylvania natives on this roster, including some of the coaches as well. Coach Callie's a Pittsburgh native himself. Justin Edwards is from Philly. DJ Wagner and Aaron Bradshaw, they both played across the river and across the bridge at Camden High the last couple of years. Meanwhile, here's Penn. They're 6-4. They've got some impressive wins. None bigger than the win against a ranked Villanova team last month, so they're trying to make it 2 top 25 teams they take down in the early goings of this season.
And against Villanova, they had 5 starters that put up double figures. They're going to need that against Kentucky today.
Two high-scoring teams, they meet in a unique matchup. Kentucky and Penn have only played 5 times before. The Wildcats have won all those meetings, and so not inside the Palestra today. That is the Cathedral of College Basketball, Penn's home gym down the road at the home of the Philadelphia 76ers for what should be a fun one.
Kentucky, the home team today in the white uniforms.
Well, there is the Pennsylvania native himself. He was once worked in this building for a year. He was an assistant for the Philadelphia 76ers a bunch of years ago. And a Hall of Famer from Moon Township, taking care of some of his Philly guys by playing this game here. Meanwhile, there is Philly through and through Steve Donahue, suburban Philly native. He's from Springfield Township. It's about 8 miles west of campus. Took the assistant job at Penn back in 1990, and he's been an Ivy League coach for all but 5 years since, predominantly a head coach.
Steve let us in. He and Calipari played against each other in college.
Little D3 battle back in the day at a tournament in Virginia. Fun stories abound from both of those coaches we'll get into as this game unfolds. We begin with a Tyler Perkins triple that's offline for Penn. Perkins, a freshman, one of the premier scorers for the Quakers. And Penn going to start a little bit of a matchup zone.
Well, it's a man-to-man, it's a gap defense. They want to not allow the ball to get inside to the paint. That was great help by Tyler Perkins.
Perkins took it away from Trey Mitchell. Quickly down the floor, and into Nick Spinoso's hands. Lefty goes up, left it just short. That's the starting 5 for Steve Donahue, you just saw. There's a couple freshmen in that starting lineup. Clark Slackard is their leading scorer. He's number 0 in the Navy today. That's the starting 5 for Kentucky, and a lot of Wildcats fans will be happy to see number 21 back out there. DJ Wagner, one of the crown jewels of the latest class. Missed that Wilmington game last week. He is back.
I think he was sorely missed in that Wilmington game. When you're used to having one point guard that sets up everybody, missing him, a lot of Kentucky players went one-on-one. Calipari wasn't happy about that.
And it was an 80-71 loss to Wilmington. Great baseline cut by Adu Thiero, and Mitchell found him.
Trey Mitchell is like a point guard in the middle of any defense. He can find shooters at any time.
He's the veteran transfer. His presence invaluable this year for obviously the very freshman-heavy Kentucky team. Everybody knows just how big that freshman class was this year. 8 total rookies on the roster. There's Slackard, backdoor cut himself, and he beats Kentucky and his man, so we're knotted up at 2.
Both of these teams have centers that have tremendous passing skills. Spinoso just demonstrated.
Now, we mentioned just the shooting prowess, the high-scoring offenses, both teams with very high assist totals.
That's how you get so many open threes. You
Yep.
got to move the ball, make the defense shift.
Mitchell and Spinoso on the ground. Last touch by Penn, so it stays here.
Spinoso just recognizes when the defense turns their head and Slackert, he never stops moving. He has that opportunity. He has to think about when to find his shot, and he learned that against his 3 older brothers that were bigger than him.
Antonio Reeves for 3. So there's the first triple of the day, and from arguably the most reliable three-point shooter on the roster.
Now, Calipari was glad to get him last season, and in this offense, this motion offense, he gets a lot of opportunities, Antonio Reeves.
He's the 5th-year senior, year 2 in Lexington. Okay, no whistles. Sam Brown didn't need it.
Penn
He
really
was trying for it.
Yeah, Penn really missed him in their first 4 games. He is another threat from that three-point line.
And when bounces out, Thiero couldn't get it to go. And so again, get used to this pace. Both teams have played in high possession games this year. Penn has played 10 games. They try to cram in as many as possible in the non-conference. Only play 14 in the Ivy League. Brown, a nice cut to the rim. Spinoso found him. However, they got to kick it back out. Slackert, head fake, and fouled on the way towards the rim. So Penn will get a new 20-second shot clock.
Sam Brown quick on the release. He held that follow through and able to knock it down. Yeah, Calipari in practice yesterday said if you're late getting there defensively, Penn's going to make you pay.
These two teams are top 10 in the nation in three-pointers made. And so look at the major improvement from beyond the arc this year for the Wildcats. Edwards from a step inside the arc.
You look at last season, they averaged 8 three-point attempts. This season, 26.5. I think Calipari struck gold in Toronto when they had to play with a smaller lineup. It moved, the ball moved, and he's got players who can shoot the ball.
Ball back to Kentucky, and they're making 42% of the threes in the early goings. So very high rate.
And it's not just one player. I have really enjoyed watching Kentucky play this season with how unselfish they are and how they set each other up.
Including this young freshman, number 15 in the white, Reed Sheppard, who just checked in, coming off a back-to-back 20-point games. It's a very guard-heavy roster this year, so he's got the personnel to not just play fast, but have a lot of players contribute and shoot.
I heard our colleague Jay Billis talk about he thinks he is the most complete player Reed Sheppard is that Kentucky has.
Dillingham, one of his 2023 classmates, threw that one into the first row, so Penn has it down 2. And Sheppard's coming off the Freshman of the Week honor. Had a brilliant game shooting the basketball against Wilmington. Again, though, Kentucky allowed 80, and they lost at home to a very veteran Wilmington team, to say the least.
Yeah, the ball didn't move, and Calipari was not thrilled with their defense as well.
Holland fouled on the way in. He has free throws when we return. Just getting started in Philly today.
Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Tyrese Max here. I'm inviting y'all to join me at the Kentucky versus UPenn at our house at Wells Fargo Center. Kentucky's off to a hot start. UPenn's doing pretty well. But Big Blue Nation, come out, show love. I should be there as well. Go Cats.
Even a few years later, Coach Cal, he asks a favor, you're there to help him out.
Always, always. He was there to help me, so I'm there to have his back as well.
Well, we're very happy to be joined by Sixers star guard Tyrese Maxey, year 3 now in the league. We just saw some of your highlights, the 1 year that you spent with Kentucky. We appreciate you stopping by to do this. How neat is this day for you, your old team playing in your house?
This is amazing. This is like, oh my gosh, this is surreal, honestly. It's funny. It's making me feel kind of old. Ooh, Lord. I'm turning 23 this year. I'm getting old. Coming back watching Kentucky and Philly, just crazy.
And talking about playing at Kentucky, what are some of your fondest memories?
Ooh, I'll probably have to say the practices.
Yeah?
Yeah, the practices with Quick and Ashton. And just those memories, you just don't. Like Coach Cal pushed us so much to push each other. It's really good. It was a really good deal, and I really do appreciate him.
Well, there's your number all over the place. What'd you go for, 30 yesterday?
Tried to, man. Just trying to help us win. That's it.
Big win for Philly yesterday. So you guys are now 14-7 overall. And, you know, we're looking at the images of your jersey around the facility and everything like that. But let's stay back during that one season at Kentucky, because you just mentioned it. A lot of folks have highlighted the great guard play on this roster.
Right.
However, you just mentioned it. You guys had a great roster that year. Of course, the pandemic hitting and shutting down that entire season. So it was always a what could have been. But, boy, Coach Cal still talks about it. You guys had the ability maybe to go all the way that year.
I think so, too. I think we really did. I think we were hitting our stride at the right time as well. It was a good shot right there. We were hitting our stride at the right time as well. I mean, quick. You know, I think he was SEC Player of the Year, right?
Yes.
We had myself. We had Ashton, who was, you know, a defensive menace, who really, ran the team really well. The guys forget that we had Johnny Juzang off the bench. We had Keon Brooks off the bench. We had Nick Richards, who was playing. I mean, E.J. Montgomery, like that. Nate Sestina, who was a graduate or a fifth-year senior, who was extremely solid and was somebody who could shoot the ball and was a great leader for us. So we were clicking in all the right directions. Yep. And you know, it's just sad that, you know, we put in a lot in the work, and then we had a lot of success that year that we couldn't, you know, go actually show it in the tournament. But it's all good. It's the way life goes sometimes.
Well, Tyrese, let me ask you this, because there have been some great guards that have come from under Calipari that have done well in the league. What is it about Cal that prepares you for that next level?
It's a lot of things. I think he mentally prepares you for the next level. He really pushes you to become the best possible version of yourself. And me, while I was there, just speaking on my time, I knew he was always on me about being aggressive, always on me about diversifying my game and doing a lot of different things, rebounding, playing defense, being able to play with others, play on the ball, play off the ball. He always said it makes you more marketable, it makes you more versatile. And it's like, I think it really helped me, because now when I got to the NBA, I had to play with James Harden, play with Ben Simmons. Now I'm playing, you know, without those guys. I have the ball in my hand a little bit more, play with Joel. So it's been great, man. Coach Cal does a really good job.
Joel asked you to be more aggressive last night when he had that little stint being out.
Yes. He comes up to me a lot often and say, man, can you be more aggressive and shoot the ball a little bit more? I try to listen to the big fella. He's more than likely he's right.
Well, I like many, I'm a big fan of the J.J. Redick pod as well, our cohort at ESPN. But there's the great clip in the story that you shared with him not long ago about, so Coach Cal comes and visits.
Right.
This was maybe one of the first times you and he had connected. And you sat there and you said, before this visit is over, I've got to get the offer from Coach Cal. Why did you want to go play for him? It was a long time coming, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a long time coming. You know, the funny part about it is, I tell everybody, I knew I wanted to play for Coach Cal when John Wall was there.
Yeah.
It was after, you know, he came from Memphis with Derrick Rose. I really liked what he did with D Rose, and then John Wall. And after that, you know, I was old enough to know, like, the game of basketball. My dad was telling me, like, look, this is who I want you to play for. You know, my dad was a coach as well. So for me, it was just the way that his players grow while they were there, and then how they have the success in the NBA. And he pushes his guys. Like, I wanted to be pushed. I wanted to be challenged. I didn't want to go somewhere where, you know, the coaches let me do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I definitely picked the right school for that.
Kentucky's got a 3-point lead here, by the way. Rob Dillingham gives that one away. Hey, what have been your first assessments, if you will, just following this year's Kentucky team?
Right. I was telling Coach Cal, we talked 2 days ago when he was here, and we was eating. I was saying, like, you could tell that the team is together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watched him play Miami. I watched him play every game that I'm not playing, and they're on TV, I'm watching. So I feel like he has great guard play again. I feel like his big fella is getting healthy. Trey's doing a good job. He's got a lot of different talent on his team that can do a lot of different things. Big time shot by Rob right there. But, you know, Rob, it's like he has 3-4 guards.
Yeah.
Four, you know what I'm saying, that can actually really play. You know, them coming off the bench and taking that challenge to come off the bench and actually, you know, be successful at doing it. That's a big step for them.
Oh, there's Perkins with a nice little backdoor. The point forward, Nick Spinoso finds Perkins for a basket.
He passing.
I'm telling you, as a guard, you've got to love bigs that are able to find you.
Love every bit of it.
Let's see if Dillingham can go back to work. This is a long two. Spinoso down with the board.
Good steal.
Yeah, Dillingham takes it away.
Nice.
Rises and lays it in. Nice work.
Nice.
Now, did you have time to interact with some of the players as well the last few days?
Not yet. Yeah. I mean, we had practice. We had a game yesterday. They had practice. They're playing today. I'll probably talk to them after the game, highlight a couple of the players, you know, just trying to give them some wisdom. I feel like I said, I feel like I'm getting old. That's crazy.
You've got a tough act to follow. If you were wondering where your head coach was yesterday afternoon, Nick Nurse visited with, with Kentucky over at the Sixers facility.
Coach Nurse is probably somewhere around here right now. I don't know where he is.
Yep. Oh, wow. It's a rejection. Penn coming back the other way. Laskowski lays it in. Well, you're kind of take some time to visit with us. Maybe last one or two here. You mentioned it. You knew the history of Kentucky and the lineage of great guards that play there, go on to the next level, not just reach the next level, but succeed at the next level. I mean, you know about the history. What's the difference when you are there and you see it every day? The walls, the practices, the philosophies. Is there a difference when you finally get there and see it?
Huge difference. You know, it's kind of surreal. Like, man, I'm actually, when you put on that jersey, like, wow, I'm actually a part of this now. I'm a part of the brotherhood. And what's special about Kentucky is, you know, I feel like everybody's together. The guys in the league, they show love, they show support. And then when you get to the NBA, they do the same as well. Like, it's a brotherhood. It's a really nice scenario.
It's a nice lead feed. Wow, that is a vicious rejection at the rim by Spinoso. So he's had some nice minutes in the early goings.
Holy cow. Well, Tyrese, you talked about leaving the guys with some wisdom after the game. What would be your message to them?
My message to them would just be keep working, keep listening, and keep learning. Be a sponge in this atmosphere. Learn from your teammates, compete against your teammates at practice, and then go out there and leave it all out on the floor. You know, these guys work extremely hard in the off season. They work extremely hard in the fall and the summer. So I just want them to go out there and work their hardest.
Tyrese, you are kind to do this. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and good luck the rest of this season.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Former Wildcat, great. All-star this year, perhaps. Tyrese Maxey, 4-point lead for Kentucky. And following, you got the second-ranked Jayhawks hosting Mizzou at 5:15 today on ESPN. And that was really fun. Kentucky again in the Wells Fargo Center today. The home of the Philadelphia 76ers. John Calipari, one of his former players. You just heard from Tyrese Maxey, having a fantastic season. Took some time just to visit with us. What was that, 4 30-point games his last 5? He's been on a tear. Kentucky, meanwhile, has a 4-point lead over Penn, approaching the halfway mark in the first.
The closeness that Coach Cal has with his former players.
Yeah.
In every city that he goes to, an opportunity that he can take to interact with them just shows the connection that once you come to play, even if it's for 1 year, he maintains that connection.
You can tell Cal, he really speaks highly of a guy like Maxey. Not just because of his abilities, just the way he carried himself that season. You know, John, he's a very persuasive man. I think he's right, though. That 2020 team was definitely Final Four caliber. And you heard Tyrese list off some of the pros on that team. However, just one of those we'll never know, as the pandemic cut the season short that year. But they won 15 games in the SEC, won the league. And Maxey and his Atlantic Division rival now, Emmanuel Quickly, were a big reason for that. So what have you seen in the last few minutes, at least on this end of the floor?
Well, offensively, Penn has been able to get the ball in the paint and been successful.
Spinoso working on Aaron Bradshaw. 2 seconds left. Perkins, that would have been a prayer. Here comes Sheppard. Moves it quickly into the front court. Bradshaw, nice job running the floor. He got blocked by Holland. Perkins fouls him. He thought it was a clean block. That's the first down, the freshman Perkins.
I really like Aaron Bradshaw. You know, when he first got into the game against UNC Wilmington, he showed he was going to be something special. His first bucket was a slam, and then he went down on the other end and got called for goaltending. He's quick off his feet.
7'1" freshman from right across the river. He played at Camden High in South Jersey. He's from Rahway. Well, and like you just illuminated, his athleticism really stands out to you.
I like the discipline of his preparation. I watched him when he was warming up. He came out. It wasn't just coming out jacking up shots. He worked on his footwork. He worked on his ball handling. He was very intentional in prepping for this game.
Edwards tracks that one down nicely. So that's a couple of buckets for Edwards. playing in his home city. Went to Imhotep Charter in North Philly. 3 in the air, and Brown connects. So Sam Brown coming off a 16-point game. That's Brett Brown's son. He's the head coach of the Sixers for 7 years. Thiero throws it up. That falls through.
He is the Swiss Army knife. Thiero is for Kentucky. He's a big guard. He can rebound. His true position is at point, so he can handle it. But I love the way that he gets inside. He can create, post up, and then also he goes to the glass. 7
boards a game. He has taken a big step forward. Slackert on the attack, high off the glass. He is very clever around the rim, isn't he?
Oh my goodness, and how he just can see the floor and find his opportunities, and he's pretty small with this congregation on the court.
Don't overlook the diminutive size. Went for 33 last Saturday against LaSalle and in this building, so he's used to these rims. And we're going the other way. That's a loose ball foul on Kentucky.
Penn pushing, and Slackert able to see the floor, find Sam Brown. But it's also, you've got to respect his shot, and that's why he's able to get by the defense and get the 2.
Slackert has averaged about 19.5 points per game this year. It's been really big in the Big 5 games so far.
He's also a giving player. Tyler Perkins is a freshman, and I asked Tyler what kind of advice Slackert gives you. And his face lit up. He's like, I ask him all kinds of questions. He said, why not, with the way he can score the ball?
Perkins bailed out by Spinoso, and it's a tie-up. Possession arrow favors Kentucky, so the Wildcats get it back. And there are probably 1 or 2 more freshmen that's in the Quakers lineup this year. Jordan Dingle, remember, transferred to St. John's, lost another starter. Max Smart's medically retired. So Perkins has been relied on heavily in the early goings of this year. There's DJ Wagner. Nice to have him back.
What does Coach Cal do but put his point guard in the middle of that zone and put Trey Mitchell down on that baseline?
Kentucky's shooting about 48% from the floor to start, 2 of 5 from deep. Hounding defense now. Spinoso spins baseline, and Thiero got a piece of it. Penn inbounds underneath the hoop when we come back. 6-point lead for the Wildcats in Philly this afternoon. Christmas markets in full swing right around Philadelphia City Hall. Kentucky by 6. Earlier this year, Penn with a gigantic victory, taking down and knocking out 21st ranked Villanova about 8 miles from here, inside the Cathedral of College Basketball, inside the Palestra, 76-72. They were brilliant that day, shot 51% from the floor. Steve Donahue told us yesterday, we just were fluid offensively in that win.
Well, and the freshman Tyler Perkins had 22 in that game. He said the brighter the lights, the bigger the stage, the more he loves it.
So the win already over Villanova. They're taking on the ranked Kentucky team today. And oh, by the way, they go to Houston just a day before New Year's Eve. A couple days later at Auburn. So Steve Donahue scheduling aggressively. And his team has already passed 1 test.
And this is a tough matchup. What Penn has is the ability to, they may not, what they give up in athleticism, their execution and the discipline and how they read each other makes them so hard to defend.
So a lot of that motion, cutting, ball movement, player movement philosophy on the offensive end. You know, they've lost 4 times, Carolyn, but 3 of those were overtime losses. How about Slackert with the shot clock draining? So Clark Slackert has 6. He hasn't missed yet.
And Penn in this, it's a 2-3 zone, but they really bring the back line up high. And what that does is leave isolation in the paint one-on-one.
Mitchell turns and can't connect from 15.
Spinoso is everywhere.
Yeah. But his game has really evolved the last couple of years from just a reserve to now really reliable starter.
And he's a huge value with his passing ability, strong with that left hand.
They've trusted him with it on the block. He's backing down Mitchell, and he draws the foul on Kentucky's 5-man. It's the first on Mitchell. A junior from Long Island. He's from Port Washington. Off the bench the last couple of years, and Coach Donahue mentioned he's turning into one of the finer post players in the Ivy League. Sheppard back in for Wagner. So this Penn team, it always finishes near the top of the Ivy. And not just historically, but under Steve Donahue. He took the job in 2015. They've made every Ivy tournament. They were slotted 5th in the preseason poll. So if you needed any more motivation and perhaps to create a chip on the shoulder, slotted there will help. Slackert is 5 of 5 from the floor.
And it's not from the three-point line. He has been able to get inside the paint against this Kentucky defense.
How about Smith using the physicality, ripped that one away from the Wildcats. And so now Penn is back on this side of the floor, and that's now 16 fouls on Kentucky.
With how close you have to be on Slackert, he's using screens. He's being very creative on how he gets to the rack.
He's got 10 points already. He's 5 of 5 from the floor. Again, a week ago he scored 33 in this building. Two fouls on Edwards. So he takes a seat. Cam Thrower from deep, no. Kentucky on the move again. Dillingham into the paint, and here's that ball movement. And Reeves draws the foul on Penn.
Point of emphasis in practice yesterday was from Kentucky, from Coach Cal, was drive the paint. Don't just settle, staying outside the three-point line. So the more pressure you put on the defense going inside, then the perimeter will open up.
Last week, ball movement limited. There's Dillingham, 4-3.
And that's what happens. You get the ball in, it'll kick it back out. I really believe against Wilmington, I think that there was a little bit of a panic not having DJ Wagner on the floor. And everybody thought they had to step up. They just stepped up in the wrong way.
We saw his value just a few days beforehand when Kentucky torched previously 8th-ranked Miami inside Rupp Arena. So Kentucky has got that big win against Miami. It beat a much better St. Joe's team earlier this year. The one other loss to Kansas in Chicago. 3 in the air. That one was partially blocked by Mitchell. Starts the run out. Lead feed ahead to Reeves. Dillingham, shot fake into the paint. Sheppard open for 3. Bradshaw, the putback.
That's a huge plus, having Aaron Bradshaw now back on the court for Kentucky.
Just his 2nd game of the year.
Having a 7-footer that has the agility that he has on both the offensive and defensive end.
There's an offensive foul, ball back to the Wildcats.
Got to give the shooters a lot of confidence to pull the trigger when you've got the rebounding ability of Aaron Bradshaw down low. He's got such nice hands, great finish.
He had a foot surgery back in the summer. Suffered that injury during the offseason, so he missed the first 6.
Yeah, he got hurt in the McDonald's All-American game.
Yeah. 2nd game of the year for Bradshaw. He looks pretty good. Dillingham with 8, fires, left it short. Here's Sam Brown with his eyes up. Largest lead so far of the day for Kentucky. Late in the first half. This is Perkins on the attack, puts it up with the left. Mitchell's got it. Sheppard ahead to Dillingham. Into the paint, no.
They've got Dillingham's number. And Dillingham has pulled a couple of quick threes, and then that time gets his layup block.
Brown was able to save it. Smith, a little razzle-dazzle. Sam Brown, not that time. And Mitchell with a strong board. Kentucky on the move again. Reeves a baseline drive. Barges into Smith, yes. Timeout, Kentucky up 9 with 3:44 to go in the first. Favorite right now, Bo Nix, the only one of the bunch that's still playing. Yeah, so by the way, we're right down the road from the Penn campus. John Heisman himself, remember, CP, he played at Penn from 1889 to 91. I remember it like it was yesterday. He was obviously the head coach for a couple years as well. So you got the historic football stadium that's right there on that campus. We had a chance to walk around the campus. It's beautiful. Yesterday, nice sunny early or late fall day. And really phenomenal campus. It's right down the road from here.
Beautiful campus, a lot of great eating spots. You know, I like to get my munch on, so it is a beautiful campus. I was interested to look when I was looking at John Heisman. He not only coached at Penn, he coached at Oberlin College, he coached at Auburn, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Washington and Jefferson College, and also at Rice.
Well traveled.
Now, in the last 8 minutes, Penn has only made 2 threes.
And Kentucky's gone on a 7-0 run, so it's opened up its largest lead. This is an open one, though. Mitchell with a nice closeout. Oh, the reach affected the Smith shot. Kentucky so quick into the front court with its bevy of next-level guards. A few of them on the floor.
Penn
Sheppard
staying in this zone.
That'll work. Spinoso with the rejection. There was a lot of body contact there. It's going to stay here. 13 on the clock for Kentucky.
Bradshaw's got to make contact and pin the defense behind him. He's kind of playing in space against that zone, and that allowed Spinoso to recover.
Oh, and the words post-play. That's 4 blocks now for the Long Island native. Reeves, that's a tough fall away, and a foul on the floor. Keeps it here with Kentucky. That's the first on Sam Brown. Now, you've mentioned it. Spinoso has been a factor on the interior on both sides.
Well, he's got to be in this zone. He is isolated defensively to protect the middle.
Sheppard knocks down the 3. That's his first basket. The freshman from maybe an hour south of Lexington. And Kentucky has extended its lead. Now a 10-0 run. Up by 12. Brown into the paint. Drive and kick. Smith on the attack. Lays it up with the left. That's the first basket for the junior George Smith. Wagner, that's a pretty finish. So DJ Wagner, he's averaged about 13 a game this year. One of the crown jewels of this 23 class, top-ranked 23 class. Possessions going back to Kentucky here.
Sheppard doesn't need much time. Look, I had the privilege of coaching against his mom, Stacy, when she played at Kentucky, and their shot, the two, she gets her shot.
Similar?
Oh, she gets it, he gets it from his mama.
Boy, that's the time-tested move there by Mitchell. He's got it, so it's a 14-point lead. Sheppard, of course, Stacy played at Kentucky. Dad, Jeff, most outstanding player of that 98 team. What do you remember about Stacy's game?
The tenacity. Every time I watch Reed play, I think of Stacy, because not only can Reed Sheppard shoot the basketball, he's got quick hands defensively.
Oh, great find to Bradshaw. He was still able to locate the rim and get that one to go.
Reed can pass it too.
Yeah, we forgot that one. 16-2 run now for Kentucky the last 5 minutes, and their athleticism is overwhelming Penn on this side of the floor. Coming up on 1 minute to go in the first. Spinoso backing down Bradshaw. Yes, so they needed that one.
Yeah, if you don't sit on that right shoulder and let Spinoso go left, yeah, Penn's got 4 players in the starting lineup that are left-handed.
Yeah. Dillingham, he's 3 of 10 from the floor. He's taken by far the most shots. Bradshaw, a little long on the jumper. 45 seconds to go. Perkins on the go. They're trying to find Slacker, couldn't get it to him. Brown, baseline, the fall away. Perkins crashes the glass.
That's what he does so well. Tyler Perkins. Asked him what position he played in high school. He said, I played all of them. His dad coached him. Said, you got to play everywhere.
Well, that basket, an important one. It gets it back to a 12-point game. Consecutive buckets for the Quakers. Timeout, Kentucky. Kentucky with a 12-point lead, 4 of 9 from deep in the first half.
Well, the movement of the basketball definitely helps that. Also setting and using screens, the timing. But it's also, you got Sam Brown that also was hot for Penn. That's what we were looking for to start this game, expecting both teams to look for their three-point shot.
Kentucky, far better percentage. Penn is just 2 of 12 from deep. This by far their toughest opponent outside of facing Villanova. Remember, though, that was in their building inside the Palestra a month ago.
Well, Kentucky's got a big presence defensively, taking away the threes from Penn.
Mitchell looking for Bradshaw, cutting on the baseline. Penn has a few seconds. Slackert lays it up with 3, got it. So Penn ends the half on a 6-0 run. That'll help. Still a 10-point lead for the 16th ranked Wildcats inside the Wells Fargo Center this afternoon.
Now, Coach Cal has to be pleased. They've been able to keep Penn away from the offensive rebounding, but Clark Slackert is not going to go away easy.
Chris Button, Seth Greenberg, Chris Spatola awaiting in the studio from Philly. We go up to Bristol. It's a 10-point lead for Kentucky over Penn after 20 minutes. A few miles south of downtown Philly. We are inside the Wells Fargo Center. That is Carolyn Peck, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. So we're still finding out quite a number of things about Aaron Bradshaw. His second game looked pretty good.
Seth Greenberg loves him, and talking about how he has the ability to score in the paint and be a rim protector. And I like how he moves without the basketball and making himself available. And he's cutting boards, and he, at 7 foot, he can get up and finish, and got such a great finish. But on the other side for Penn, Clark Slackert, we talked about him three-point shooting. Well, he is 0 threes, but he has 12 points, and he's getting it done in different ways, from moving without the basketball on his cuts and driving to the paint. Look, if you're going to take away his 3, he's found other ways to be productive.
He's got 12 points. Penn ended the half on a 6-0 run, so they get it back within 10, which was critical. However, you can see Kentucky was very efficient on the offensive end, shooting 47% from the floor.
And the ball was moving, and that's very, very important for Kentucky. They have 8 assists in this first half.
Don't look too much into the diminutive frame for number 0 in the Navy, Clark Slackert, senior, averaging 19 a game. And you saw he scores in a bevy of different ways. Spinoso was effective on the interior as well in that first half, had it knocked away, and he also draws the foul on Thiero.
And not only Spinoso distributing the basketball, finishing inside, but his defensive presence really has been huge in the middle of the zone.
4 blocks.
Yeah.
He's already hit a career high after 20 minutes. So Steve Donahue, he's got 1 or 2 more freshmen in the rotation than he expected. Again, he lost a couple of starters in the offseason in maybe an unexpected way. Jordan Dingle transfers, nation's second leading scorer a year ago, to St. John's. Doesn't want to pass up the chance to play for Rick Pitino. Max Martz, another starter, had to medically retire. So he has relied on a few younger players, and it's placed a greater importance on the shoulders of guys like Spinoso and Slackert, and they've answered the bell nicely in the early goings of the season. So it's now an 8-0 run.
Well, Penn has switched up now, going man to man.
Good to you. We're here.
Can Kentucky put an end to the run? Looking to get to 7-2 to start the season. Beat Miami last week, but then lost to Wilmington at home on Saturday. Thiero, the steal, and the score. So that's 6 points for the sophomore. He's a Pennsylvania native, but from the other side of the state. Leachdale, it's near the Pittsburgh area. Again, there's a whole bevy of not just Philadelphia natives, Pennsylvania guys on the roster. Spinoso with the up and under, or the reverse on the other side of the basket. Nice move.
Coach Cal spent a lot of time defending that pick and roll and on the roller, knowing that Spinoso's not really going to pop. The post that's helping has got to stay more connected with the roller.
Spinoso now with 4 boards, and Penn connects. Tyler Perkins has it back to a 5-point game.
Spinoso turns it over. Kentucky paying it off on the other end, but they're going to have to tighten up their defense. That pick and roll action for the Quakers has been. Penn on a 13-2 roll, but watch how Kentucky has a defensive breakdown defending the ball screen. Trey Mitchell goes too far and commits over, and Spinoso is able to roll to the basket. One of the things Calipari wanted was Trey Mitchell just to slow the ball handler down in time for the guard to recover. He commits, and Spinoso makes him pay.
The 13-2 run you mentioned is immediately on the heels of Penn falling behind by 16 late in that first half. That was its largest deficit of the day. And so in the last 3 minutes of game action they've got on this 13-2 run, it's back to a 5-point game.
Well, early in the game, you remember the scouting report. As the game goes along, there's going to be some game slippage. And one is for Kentucky really defending the ball screen. The guards have got to get through over or under, but you can't run into screens and cause your post play to have to commit.
So can Kentucky answer? Reeves, that's a nice scoop and score. Antonio Reeves now with 7.
And then on the other side, defensively, Penn, they play a pack line gap defense. They've got to stop those drives in the paint.
Oh, wow, what a pass from maybe 35 feet. Slackert now with 14. That was Sam Brown, the freshman, who found the senior. So Penn with a little surge of courage and confidence right now. Reeves falls. That's a nice find. Wagner to Edwards.
Wagner got up in the air and at the last minute found where to make that dish.
Edwards, a high IQ player. You know, he's always puts himself in the right position on the baseline. And a beneficiary of good finds this year. Slackert buries a deep 3, a contested one as well. So he has put on quite a show. He's by far the game's leading scorer, Carolyn. He's got 17 now, and that was his first triple.
Well, he's so crafty. He established himself as a driver and then opens up his 3-point shot.
Numbers for Penn. Perkins finds the senior. Mitchell trying to trap him, and he threw it to his head coach. Donahue doesn't like it. Look at this one, though.
What a cut by Clark Slackert. Sam Brown found him, and then from 3, what does Slackert do? Coming off Spinosa's screen, ready to pull the trigger.
I mean, he's a top 50 scorer in the nation. He has turned into the alpha. Again, last year I mentioned he played with Jordan Dingle, who averaged 23.5 per game. So there weren't that many shots to go around. It's not just the high-scoring play. He's been very efficient shooting the ball as well. And today, what is he, 8 of 10?
Well, I'm talking to Steve Donahue. I said Slackard hadn't found a shot he doesn't like. Yeah. And Coach Donahue said, I like him too with the percentages that he's shooting.
Espinoso saves it. Last touch by the Quakers, so Kentucky gets it back, and all of a sudden, this game is tightened up a bit. Steve Donahue's team fell behind by 16 with 1.5 minutes to go in the first. And they have gone on a surge here, outscored Kentucky 12-6 to start the second. 4-point game. Slackard hesitated. Perkins shaded by Reeves, the blow by, and he lays it in.
UNC Wilmington was able to beat Kentucky off the bounce. Coach Cal talked about you cannot allow them to get their shoulders and hips past you. You got to keep your guy in front of you.
It's a 2-point game. Dillingham spins, the fall away, left it short. So Penn has a chance to maybe take a lead with a 3 on this side of the floor. They're perfect to start the second half, Carolyn. They're 5 of 5 from the floor. Dillingham trying to trap Brown. There's a turnover. Sheppard to the rim. 4-point lead for Kentucky.
Reed Sheppard's like having a Tylenol when you got a headache. He fixes it.
There's good defensive pressure on this end of the floor for Kentucky. And they shake off the migraine that Penn has been after half. Another deep one. Brown for 3. Penn has now outscored Kentucky 17-6, make it 17-8 after halftime. Dillingham with the quick burst. Mitchell wants 3. Espinoso with another board, that's his 5th. Slackard wide open, gets Sheppard in the air. That's short.
Oh, that would have been huge for the Quakers.
Maybe some numbers for Kentucky. Dillingham, there's just the fast-paced, energetic play that he plays the game at. All of a sudden, Kentucky has watched its 16-point lead dwindle back to 1. Reed Sheppard, the latest fast break bucket for Kentucky. Kentucky Wildcats in his DNA. Mom and Dad love it. More on the family when we come back. Welcome back to the Malone's Classic inside the Wells Fargo Center, where Kentucky has a very now slim 1-point lead over Penn. Remember, it's V Week at ESPN. This is where we partner with the V Foundation to highlight the urgent need for cancer research. It's game-changing research that helps save lives, and you can join the fight against cancer by visiting v.org/donate. And remember, 100% of your donation goes directly to cancer research. Jeff Sheppard on the left. There is Stacy Sheppard, one of the better Kentucky basketball players in women's basketball history, breast cancer survivor herself.
And if there's anybody in fighting a disease like cancer, a fighter would be a Stacy Reed. Like I said, I got to coach against her when I was at Tennessee, and she was playing at Kentucky. And when you watch Reed play, you see Stacy Reed on the court. She was tenacious as a basketball player. She even came back when Bernadette Maddox got to be the head coach at Kentucky in her first year, helping with the program. But even Jeff will say, when you see Reed play, you see a lot of Stacy in their son when he's on the court.
One of the better players in women's hoops history, Kentucky women's basketball history. And then her husband, Reed's dad, Jeff, most outstanding player of that 98 national championship team. So he's got a couple of rings. He won one in 96 with Pitino, and then Tubby Smith in 98. So some Kentucky royalty in the stands all year this season.
I think one of the most tenacious of the family might be Madison Reed, his sister, when it comes to Reed. She's so protective of her little brother.
Maybe the easiest recruiting job for John Calipari in his Kentucky tenure. You saw the sweatshirt, and the text on the sweatshirt says, "It's in my blood. It's in the DNA." And Reed, of course, one of the top 25 recruits in this 2023 class. He has been brilliant at times this year. Defensively, offensively, starts the break. Showtime! Dillingham throws it down.
Reed started out that whole sequence of being able to go in transition, the heads-up play to tap it ahead to the UK basket.
The intensity, by the way, still in the stands as well. Clearly evident. Smith, contested jumper. Boy, Penn is starting to heat up from deep. They're now 4 of 5 from beyond the arc this half. It was a 16-point Kentucky lead with 90 seconds left in the first. And now they're trading baskets in the early goings of the second half. Sheppard's got a couple of rebounds, couple of steals, 2 assists, 5 points. So it's not going to be a surprising line for Sheppard this year to fill up the box score. Dillingham on the baseline. Bradshaw steps back. 4-3.
A 7-footer. Knocking down the long ball. That's going to be a 1-2 punch for Kentucky, having Trey Mitchell and then having Aaron Bradshaw that can step out at 7 feet and knock down the tray.
They're almost at 100% Kentucky, that is. With Bradshaw now in the lineup and healthy, this is second game. Wagner is back from the 1-game injury, missed last Saturday. They're still waiting on Onyenso, who also suffered a foot injury in a Toronto trip back in July. Mitchell wants it. No. Holland rises up for the board.
But it's Clark slackered for Penn. He's got 17 points, only made 1 3. He's so smart with the basketball.
Brown, that one went down and out. Sam Brown has hit a couple of clutch triples in this second half. Got his hands on that pass. And Tyrese Maxey over here thought he had a day off. He almost had a collision, a couple of players coming his way. Tyrese, of course, a Sixers star.
Man, he had him a game last night.
Well, he's playing at undoubtedly an all-star level this season. 12th in the league in scoring. Again, spent the 1 year with Kentucky, the 1920 season. And was selected 21st overall. So in his building, let's see if his Cats can secure a win. A little tougher than it looked. And the late goings of that first half, Dillingham now gives Kentucky a 7-point lead.
And Dillingham took some early quick shots in the first half. I don't think Calipari minded that one. Shot clock running down. He was patient to wait for the ball screen.
Spinoso attacks the rim. The physical 5-man has been critical to Penn's success today. A little give and go. Bradshaw off the window.
When Kentucky gets multiple passes in a possession, more times than not, they're going to get the shot they want.
Well, they now have 12 assists on the 25 makes. Slacker to Spinoso, knocked away. That was Sheppard with a good sleight of hand. And again, Sheppard eyes up. Finds Wagner, sets the feet, puts it up, and puts it in. DJ Wagner has Kentucky back ahead by 10.
Reed, Sheppard again, starting the defense, then coming down offensively. He threw that pass to Wagner and put the hand up. He had the signal. He knew that was going down.
He was open there for a moment. A lot of folks would have gotten impatient, maybe have taken that long too.
I was kind of thinking Reed needed to look for a shot on that one, but these freshmen are so unselfish.
Sam Brown is hit from this distance. And again, Sam Brown is heating up in the second half. He now has 12. The freshman himself from Lower Marion High, not far from where we are in Philadelphia. These two teams are better than 60% from the floor in the second half. Bradshaw, that's a acrobatic look. Tough one there at the rim. Carolyn Penn is 9 of 12 from the floor this second half. Perkins, another! That's a 3! Timeout, Kentucky. The Quakers stride for stride with the 16th ranked Wildcats. Tyler Perkins with a couple looks from deep, buries it.
Big Blue Nation, it's Coach Calipari. The Week at ESPN ends tomorrow. If you can, please help join the fight against cancer by visiting the.org/donate. 100% of your donation goes directly to cancer research.
And we thank Coach Cal for doing that. There it is, the.org/donate. And that last point, the most important one, 100% of your donation goes to cancer research. You saw Coach Cal and the team in the background there yesterday practice at the Sixers practice facility. Again, here today at Wells Fargo Center, a building he once called home. After his stint as the Nets head coach, he spent 1 year as an assistant on Larry Brown's staff, 99-2000 here in Philadelphia. He says he loves this city. He coached here a lot when he was the head man at UMass.
And Coach Nurse came in, spoke to the team.
That was neat. Mo Cheeks' jersey as well. He and Mo Cheeks were assistants on Larry Brown's staff that year. Great words from Nick Nurse yesterday for the team. This game, Carolyn, has tightened up. Thiero doing a whole bunch of work to keep this one alive. Wagner left the three short, and Sam Brown, son of Brett Brown, a lot of Sixers connections in the building today, takes it across the timeline.
Dude, Thiero's he was holding his side after his work that he did on the glass on the other end.
Perkins sizing up Sheppard, goes up, Sheppard blocked it. Poked loose. Wagner has it. Up ahead to Reeves. The leaner, got it. Smart shot. Kentucky, go ahead, Caroline.
The defensive intensity for Kentucky out of that timeout, that's what Cal's looking for.
Well, because their 16-point lead dwindled down to 1 a few minutes ago.
It's part of having a young team. You can't get complacent. You've got to come out with that hunger out of the locker room at halftime like you have to start the game.
Wagner knocked it away. Reeves on the move to Wagner, reverse. Reeves and the foul.
Offense to defense, out and running. That's when Kentucky's at their best.
Oh, they have got the guards to do it this year. You're seeing them all on display. Sheppard, Reeves, Wagner, Dillingham. Last year this team played at just quite frankly, a slower pace. They won 22 games, reached the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. However, seems like with the guards they have this year, are they capable of getting a bit further?
Well, it's not just the guards. Aaron Bradshaw has been huge for the Wildcats. To go along with Trey Mitchell.
Bradshaw's closing in on the double-double. He's got 14 and 9 now. George Smith whistled for his second.
I just love how quick Bradshaw is getting up off his feet.
Our friend Paul Biancardi has got his list of top freshman guards this season. Isaiah Collier is off to a phenomenal start for USC. Saw some of the Wildcats pictured as well. It's an 8-point game coming up on the 8-minute mark inside the Wells Fargo Center. Down and out for Perkins.
But as we've seen, no lead is safe.
Oh, Wagner, the burst of speed down the lane. And he's into double figures. Make it 9 for Wagner. So the lead is swelled back to 10 for Kentucky. Penn scoreless its last 2.5 minutes. Slacker, oh, get that out of here! Bradshaw with the vicious rejection. He's running the floor with Wagner. Reeves in the corner, got it. Timeout Quakers. It's a 9-0 Kentucky run in just a minute and 45.
Everybody wants to talk about the guards with Kentucky. Well, Aaron Bradshaw's presence defensively. Seth Greenberg said rim protector. Absolutely. When you've got a backstop like that, allows you to get out and running. Been a good sign for the Kentucky Wildcats.
For 50 a few nights ago for these Sixers, which is no surprise.
Yeah, and over in transition for the most part, and that's because the defense of Kentucky has picked up.
They forced 12 Penn turnovers. They've only given it away 6 times themselves. So those turnovers beginning to mount lately for the Quakers. Kentucky back ahead by 13. Espinoso just steadily works his way down to right underneath the hoop, and he draws another foul on Kentucky. It's the 3rd on Bradshaw. And he kind of hypnotizes the D. Slacker leaves it for Espinoso. Yeah! So Espinoso into double figures for the 5th time this year. He's got 10. 4 Quakers in double figures. Slacker leads the way with 17. And there's a foul on Smith. That's his 3rd. This has been, in a lot of ways, another test for Kentucky in the non-conference. They certainly learned a number of things last week against Wilmington. There's Mitchell to the basket, 13-point lead.
And that's where Kentucky's made the difference, is getting in the paint. Plus 10 in that category.
We've got a few more big ones in the non-con before conference play begins January 6th. Perkins dragged the pivot foot. North Carolina next week in Atlanta. They have to go to Louisville this year. And then remember, Kentucky, it faces Gonzaga on February 10th.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah. The calendar basically not pushed back, but with an extra week this year, there was time to add one more non-conference game right in the middle of SEC play. So it's the first of a 6-year series against Gonzaga in Rupp Arena. Kentucky keeps it underneath the hoop this end of the floor. Bradshaw, he's hit one from deep already. Espinoso comes flying in for the board, and he draws a foul. So that's the 4th on Kentucky. Aaron Bradshaw, by the way, officially with the double-double.
You watch Trey Mitchell having conversation with Aaron Bradshaw, and he told him, that's a good shot. Aaron Bradshaw has so much respect for Mitchell. He's a vet. Aaron told me that Trey knows what he's doing, and he believes everything he is telling him and how to be successful on the floor.
Espinoso behind the back. That was Reeves with the rejection. And they whistle Reeves for the foul. So Smith is going to the line for a pair.
Look at the leadership of Trey Mitchell, bringing the team together. Oh, thought that was all ball.
Yeah.
Maybe he got a little bit of the wrist.
Yeah, a little bit of the hand. Well, we've been in very good hands today. Great crew featuring Joe Lindsay, Rob Rourke, and Chuck Jones. 4 fouls on Justin Edwards now. Oh, that was on Reeves, his 2nd. Sheppard back into the game. And go back to your point on Mitchell and his leadership, because he joins this roster middle of the summer. Bob Huggins, of course, dismissed as head coach at West Virginia, and so Mitchell was looking for a different opportunity.
Yeah, this is his fourth school, Kentucky being the 4th, but he has come right in. He saw an opportunity to be a leader for such a young team, and he welcomed that.
Yeah. Gets a lot of gratification from it. He's pretty good at it too. He's played a lot of games, you can see, stretching back to his UMass days.
Well, his stepdad's a coach, has coached a lot of great players. He even coached John Wall.
Yeah. Who else did he say? Coach John Wall, Tyreek Evans.
Yeah.
His stepdad, Tony. So just a very mature and veteran presence to have on the roster this year. And again, it was a fortuitous addition, if you will, looking at it from the Kentucky standpoint.
But his demeanor is so good for this young team. He's patient in how he leads. He can explain things instead of just barking at younger players, and they respect him. They respect what he has to say. It's all in how you deliver the message.
Yeah. 11-point lead for Kentucky in Philadelphia today. Although how comfortable is this 11-point lead, we'll find out. Penn has, time and time again today, been able to erase double-digit deficits. Although it's been a few minutes since they've been close. Perkins had to drop it off to Spinoso. Starts to turn, and he gets fouled. So that's the third on Bradshaw, and it sends Spinoso to the line. It's been a unique game. Kentucky had the big double-digit lead at the tail end of the first half. And you start to wonder, is it going to get away from Penn? And then over a course of a 3-minute stretch, end of the second, early first, they got it back to a 1-point game. They went on a 13-2 run.
Out of the locker room, it was Penn who delivered the first punch. With so much attention focused on Slacker, and Perkins got involved. Spinoso has done a nice job inside.
He's going to have some success this year in the Ivy League. Coach Donahue and a lot of folks around the league were expecting him to take a big step forward in this junior season. He has displayed quite a bit of versatility, passing ability, his rebounding ability.
He's been great in that back row, in that pack line defense, having his size, his timing, rotating.
Dillingham is a blur, although his pass was knocked away. Good idea. He was trying to feed it to Bradshaw. Brown spins away from trouble. Slacker, no. Who wants it? A couple of bodies on the floor. Mitchell comes away with it. Bradshaw running the floor. Sheppard can't get it there in time. Sheppard's been a great offensive initiator today. Again, coming off of the back-to-back 20-point performances against Miami and UNC Wilmington. Mitchell, deep post catch. Bradshaw follow slam. He's got 16 to lead all Wildcat scorers.
Playing Bradshaw and Mitchell together, with both of them being so versatile, being able to interchange going inside and out.
Well, we have seen a whole bevy, Carolyn, of scouts, not just in the building today, but also at the Sixers practice facility today. So Aaron Bradshaw in game 2 of the year, acquitting himself quite nicely today with the double-double. He's got 16 and 11.
He's been on the glass. He's blocked some shots. He's running transition. Hit that three.
Yeah, corner three, right? Reeves with the floater. Reeves just quietly with a 16-point game. He's 7 of 13 from the floor. And so this Kentucky offense, it has continued to thrive today. Perkins with the latest 3. So they're pushing 80 points again. They've averaged, again, against the non-conference portion of its schedule, 92 a game.
And Kentucky's shooting 49%.
Slackert forces the turnover. No, rather it's going to stay with Kentucky when we return. Big day for Aaron Bradshaw.
Aaron Bradshaw on the glass. Welcome to the Wildcats, big guy.
ESPN at 9. It's been a fun day inside the Wells Fargo Center. Kentucky has a 12-point lead, looking to close it out in the final 2:28. Carolyn, this game was tight at many points here in the second half, although the Wildcats, they've kind of imposed their will the last, let's say, 8-9 minutes of the game.
Well, we've talked about the freshmen. We've talked about having Aaron Bradshaw, but the bench scoring versus the starters, and Kentucky's bench has outscored Penn's bench 35-3. We're also looking at the minutes played by the starters for Penn. 4 of them have played 32-plus minutes.
Well, and that's that duo of Dillingham and Bradshaw coming off the bench, because that duo, they've scored 30. 14 for Dillingham, 16 for Bradshaw. I mean, he was a problem in both halves today for Kentucky. And it's been an interesting journey for him. Had the foot surgery, missed the first 6 games, plays 13 minutes on Saturday in that strange loss to UNC Wilmington, a disappointing one. However, today, really showing the full array of abilities on the floor.
Quick to demonstrate the impact that he can have. 11 rebounds that he has had today. And he's so quick off the floor. He's just got that bounce. And he's strong, too. His frame may look very svelte, but he's got a power to his game as well.
Well, and he's played in front of a whole bunch of friends and family, he told us yesterday, because he went to high school right across the bridge, Camden High, which is, 15 minutes from here. So a South Jersey native himself. It's a foul on Brown with 1:43 to go. It was he and Wagner that won a state title 2 years ago at Camden High. So Steve Donahue, I mean, what's his team going to take away, you think, from this performance today?
I think it was a great battle. I think the spurts that they demonstrated to start the beginning of the second half, to keep that momentum up for 40 minutes, he's going to have to get more contributions from his bench to be able to rest some of his starters. These guys have really gone the distance.
Donahue has trusted and experience of a coach as he can find, more than 300 wins. Remember, he was at Cornell for all those years. 2010, Cornell wins the Ivy. They go to the NCAA tournament. They win a couple of games. Oh boy, what's Dillingham going to do here? Instead, he just backs it out. They reach the Sweet 16, and who do they meet in the Sweet 16 that year? John Calipari's first Kentucky team. Featured John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe, Patrick Patterson, whole array of pros. Here was that neat run for Cornell. Jeff Foote was the star, the 7-footer on that team. So they knock out Temple, they beat a very good Wisconsin team, and they reach the Sweet 16. I mean, that was basically the first of a lot of recent Ivy madness moments, I would say, the last decade.
I think the Ivy has attracted some very talented players, and that the level of play in the Ivy League has gone up. Steve Donahue talked about there's only 8 teams, so it's not like you're having to scout or reinvent the wheel. Everybody knows what everybody's going to run, which makes the competition that much more competitive.
You normally see a lot of the same players, too. They stick around for several years. Nobody really wants to maybe transfer away and lose the ability graduating with that Ivy League degree.
Yeah, after 2 years, I'm not leaving.
Inside of a minute now, CP. Kentucky with a very comfortable, safe 14-point lead. All said and done, they're going to shoot 50% from the floor. Kentucky, that is.
But Kentucky did a nice job on the glass. That was a focus for John Calipari.
Okay, a little better than 50%. Dillingham with one last highlight with 27.5 to go.
He said, don't calculate the statistics just yet.
And so he's doing this, by the way, right in front of Tyrese Maxey, the former Wildcat, who is stuck around. And, oh, by the way, Emmanuel Quickly has joined the party.
Well, that's just what Kentucky guards do, plays like that. You got to love that.
Yeah, there's Quickly in the striped shirt. So there are the Atlantic Division rivals now. Quickly, of course, spent the last few years with the Knicks. Nice Saturday afternoon for the former Wildcats as well. They've been able to enjoy this one. Hey, props to Quickly for making the trip down here. 18 seconds left, and Kentucky is going to improve to 7-2 inside the Wells Fargo Center.
Nice bounce back game for the Wildcats after the disappointing loss to UNC Wilmington. A much better performance here in Philadelphia.
Next up, it's going to be a top 25 battle against North Carolina next week inside State Farm Arena down in Atlanta. So the Wildcats shoot 50% from the floor. Aaron Bradshaw will have his breakout performance in game number 2. It seems like sky is the limit for the big 7-footer. CP, the double-double, 17 and 11 today.
Well, and the defense that Kentucky brought for the most part, really keeping Clark Slaggert off the three-point line, though he got in the paint. But again, the balanced effort from the Kentucky Wildcats, very impressive.
So that's going to do it for us in Philadelphia. Kentucky a winner today. Coming up next, it's Auburn and Indiana. We say so long from the Wells Fargo Center. For Carolyn Peck and our entire great crew, I'm Kevin Fitzgerald saying so long. Let's go to the studio now. To Bristol we go. Go ahead.